Welcome to the Nightmare Zoo. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yo, get ready, Frosty, to say cheese for the pic and smile for the photo. Ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese!
Oh, F-U-C-K. Do not tell me there is a dogman right behind me? Oh, God, there is. Enjoy the stories.
Well, hello there, you delicious little hiker thing. Are you lost here in the Nightmare Zoo forest? You better subscribe to get out alive.
I work at Area 51. We don't test UFOs. We test how long inmates last against what's in the pit. The offer came on a Tuesday. Not from a lawyer, not from a priest, but from a man in a crisp, black uniform with no name tag and eyes the color of a dead screen. They called in Mr. Sterling. We were 5. Me, a guy named Rex, who'd beaten a man to death with a hammer, a twitchy car thief named Finn, a silent giant everyone called Goliath, and a wiry, smart-mouthed arsonist named Jess. Sterling stood in the rec room, his posture so perfect it looked painful. Each of you is serving a life sentence with no possibility of parole. The state has written you off. We are offering you a single alternative form of restitution. Jess snorted. Yeah? You need someone to clean your fancy toilets? Sterling's smile was a thin, cold razor cut across his face. No, we are offering you a choice. Option 1. Continue your miserable existence in this concrete box until you die of old age or shiv-related complications. Option 2. Participate in a single 24-hour-long feasibility study. Rex leaned forward, his knuckles cracking. Feasibility of what? Of your survival, Sterling said flatly. You will be taken to a secure location. You will be given basic tools. If you can remain alive for 24 hours, you will be released. Your records will be expunged. You will be given a new identity and a substantial financial stipend. You will vanish, a free man. And if we don't? I asked, my voice sounding hollow in the tense room. Then you will be listed as deceased due to a prison altercation. Either way, the world is rid of you. The only variable is how you exit it. It was the dumbest, most insane deal any of us had ever heard. Which is why, of course, we all took it. What the fuck did we have to lose? They sedated us. When we woke up, we were somewhere else. The air was different. Colder, drier, humming with a sub-audible vibration that made my teeth ache. We were in a concrete anteroom, dressed in gray jumpsuits. A single steel door stood opposite us, covered in warning signs and hydraulic pistons. Sterling's voice came over a crackling intercom. The rules are simple. The clock starts when the door opens. It will not open again for 24 hours. There are things down here. Avoid them. Outlast them. There are caches of supplies, water, first aid, weapons, but they are not placed for your convenience. They are placed as bait. Good luck. With a deafening hiss, a massive door slid into the wall. Beyond it was only darkness, a blackness so absolute, it looked solid. The smell hit us first, a coppery tongue of blood, a foul stench of offal, and beneath it all, the ozone-tinged reek of a lightning strike. All right, you fucking choir boys, Rex growled, grabbing a rusty pipe from a nearby rack. Stick together. First one to run gets left behind as bait. We stepped into the dark. The door slammed shut behind us, plunging us into a silence so deep I could hear my own heartbeat thudding in my ears. Our flashlight beams cut shaky paths through the gloom. We were in a tunnel, man-made but old, the concrete crumbling to reveal strange, slick black rock beneath. We found the first cache an hour in. A military-style crate with bottled water, a few cans of food, and a single wicked-looking combat knife. Rex grabbed it. See? This is easy. They're just trying to scare us with spooky sounds, he said, his bravado echoing nervously down the tunnel. That's when we heard the scraping. It was a dry, chitinous sound, like a giant insect being dragged over stone. Then a wet, clicking gurgle. Something dropped from the ceiling behind Finn. It was vaguely humanoid, but its limbs were too long, bent backwards at the joints. Its skin was the color of a week-old corpse, pulled taut over a distorted skeleton. It had no eyes, just smooth, sunken pits above a mouth that split its head in half, lined with needle-like teeth that dripped with a black, viscous saliva. It stood on two legs, but its arms ended in long, bony scythes. Finn didn't even have time to scream. One of those scythes lashed out with impossible speed, shearing through his neck like a hot wire through butter. His head bounced twice on the stone floor, his eyes wide with surprise. The body stood for a second fountaining blood, before collapsing. The thing let out that wet click again and dropped onto all fours, scuttling towards the headless corpse. "Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus Christ," Jess screamed, backpedaling. The sound startled the creature. Its head snapped up, those empty pits seeming to lock onto us. It charged. Rex, to his credit, didn't freeze. He roared and swung the pipe. It connected with the thing's shoulder with a sickening crack. The creature shrieked, a sound that was pure feedback and agony, and lashed out. Its other scythe arm opened Rex's belly from hip to ribcage. Rex stumbled back, staring in dumb horror as his intestines, shiny and pink, spilled out into his hands. The creature was on him in an instant, that nightmare mouth closing over his face. The sound of crunching bone and tearing flesh was wet and final. We ran, blindly, screaming into the darkness. Goliath, the quiet giant, was surprisingly fast. Jess and I were right behind him. We found a side alcove and crammed ourselves into it, panting, sobbing. We could hear more of them now, scrabbling in the dark, clicking to each other. They were hurting us. An hour later, one found us. It came from behind, silent as a shadow. Jess was on watch. I heard a soft thump and a muffled gurgle. I turned. The creature had one of its scythe arms buried deep in Jess's back, the point bursting out through his sternum. Its other hand was clamped over his mouth. It looked at me, those empty pits boring into my soul, and slowly, deliberately, pulled Jess back into the darkness. His fingers scraped against the stone floor, leaving bloody trails, until he was gone. His screams were short-lived. It was just me and Goliath now. The big man had tears cutting clean paths through the grime on his face. He held a steel bar he'd ripped from a conduit. "We're not going to make it," he whispered, his voice a low rumble. "The door," I said, a desperate idea forming. "They have to open it to check." We find our way back to the door. We make our stand right there. It took us hours, moving like ghosts, hiding from the clicking horrors that patrolled the tunnels. We saw things I can't unsee, things that moved in ways that defied physics, things that melted through walls, things that were just collections of screaming mouths and anger. We finally saw the red light above the massive door. Our salvation. 20 feet of open space stood between us and it. Goliath looked at me, nodded, and charged. He almost made it. A creature, larger than the others, dropped from the ceiling directly in front of the door. It was covered in spiny, black plates and had a dozen writhing, whip-like tentacles where its face should be. Goliath didn't hesitate. He screamed a raw, primal scream and swung his steel bar like a baseball bat. He connected, smashing into its torso. The thing shrieked, and a tentacle wrapped around Goliath's neck, yanking him off his feet. 2 more lashed out, their tips sharp as scalpels, and plunged into his eyes. He thrashed for a moment, then went limp. The tentacles retracted, pulling his eyeballs out with them, leaving behind bloody, hollow sockets. The thing tossed his body aside like garbage and turned its faceless head toward me. I was alone, huddled behind a crumbling pillar, watching the thing that killed Goliath guard the only way out. The clock had to be almost up. I could feel it. The intercom crackled to life. Sterling's voice. 60 seconds. The creature guarding the door perked up at the sound, its tentacles twitching. 30 seconds. I readied myself. It was now or never. 10, 9, 8. The hydraulic pistons on the door began to hiss. The door was opening. A sliver of blinding white light cut into the darkness. The creature shrieked, recoiling from the light. 7, 6, 5. I ran. I poured every ounce of fear, every bit of strength, into those last few steps. I dove through the narrowing gap as the door began to close again. 4, 3. I hit the concrete floor of the anteroom hard, skidding into the opposite wall. I heard the door slam shut with a final deafening thud that sealed away the hell I just escaped. I lay there, gasping, covered in blood and filth that wasn't my own. Sterling stood over me, a clipboard in his hand. He didn't look impressed. He looked clinical. "Congratulations," he said, his voice devoid of any emotion. "Your survival has been noted." Subject displayed adequate cowardice and self-preservation instincts. Useful data. 2 guards in black gear hauled me to my feet. They weren't gentle. "Wait," I croaked, my throat raw. "The deal. You said I'd be free." Records expunged. Sterling looked at me, and for the first time, his dead screen eyes showed a flicker of something. Amusement. "The offer was that you would be released from prison," he said calmly. "Your sentence there is indeed complete. Welcome to your new position. The data suggests you have a particular aptitude for this environment. Your next shift begins in 12 hours. He turned and walked away, leaving me standing there, the horrific truth dawning. I hadn't won my freedom. I just auditioned for a new job. And from the way the things in the dark had clicked and screamed my name, they already knew I'd gotten it.